3, hit it!
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to today's Caffeine for the Soul. And this is the third part of a 5-part series where I'm reading a chapter from my new book. The chapter is called The Secrets of Effortless Productivity. The book is called Creating the Impossible, a 90-day program to get your dreams out of your head and into the world. And you can learn more about the book and get your copy at michaelneill.org/CTI book. My friend and mentor, Dr. George Pransky, has spent a fair bit of time exploring this kind of effortless productivity. What it is that causes us to get more or less bang for our buck out of everything we do. One of his observations has been that people are generally at their most productive in the parts of their work that they enjoy, and least productive in the parts that they dislike, resent, or even hate. In fact, as explained by Marcus Buckingham in his book The One Thing You Need to Know, a Gallup study into people who had been at or near the top of their field for a minimum of 20 years showed that the one thing they all had in common was that they had figured out what they didn't like doing and stopped doing it. Well, this may seem like common sense. When you can't afford or don't want to get someone else to do the bits of your work you don't like doing, you probably do what most people do. Procrastinate for as long as you possibly can, and then when you really have to do them, get them over with in the quickest and least painful way you can think of. Although getting it over with is certainly more productive than never getting around to it in the first place, it's not an efficient long-term strategy. And things done in a white-knuckle, just-gotta-get-through-it frame of mind rarely go as well as they otherwise might. So what's the alternative? Simple. Begin to enjoy everything you do. Now, at first glance, this seems to be a patently ridiculous and possibly even impossible challenge. After all, how do I make myself enjoy catching up on a backlog of email, making cold calls, asking the bank for money, or whatever part of my work I think of as a necessary evil? But the thing is, our preferences aren't written in stone. In fact, most of them are the somewhat arbitrary consequence of childhood incidents, cultural conditioning, and psychological reinforcement. So much of what we enjoy or don't enjoy is based on limited or even secondhand experience, perpetuated unwittingly by the thought, I don't like that. For example, as a girl, my wife was forced to drink warm milk that had been sitting in the sun in the schoolyard, and it made her physically ill. That experience was passed on to our kids who grew up hating milk without ever really having tried it. But in my house, we grew up enjoying milk on our breakfast cereal, milk with our after-school snacks, and a glass of milk with our dinner. And my sister's adult children still drink milk every day. All of us have the wonderful possibility of dropping our acquired preferences and returning to our natural mode of indiscriminate enjoyment at any moment. Each time we get past our thinking and into whatever it is that we're doing, we learn more and do better. Over time, that indiscriminate enjoyment leads to higher levels of engagement and a natural boost in our levels of seemingly effortless productivity. As a brief postscript, in the middle of writing this, I stepped outside to discover that my dog had left a huge pile of poo outside my office door. After a brief flurry of thoughts about the relative merits of pet ownership and what a pain it was to have to clean up after a dog when I was trying to write important things about people, I laughed at myself and decided to see what it was like to enjoy cleaning up dog poo. Less than 5 minutes later, the whole area was cleaned up, hosed down, and looking better than it had in weeks. And I thanked my dog for the clearly carefully planned reminder. I hope you've enjoyed today's excerpt. I will be back with 2 more excerpts over the next 2 days. They are from my new book, Creating the Impossible, a 90-day program to get your dreams out of your head and into the world. And you can learn more about the book and pick up your copy at michaelneill.org/CTI book. Have fun, learn heaps, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.